Marvel Zombies showed us the most brutal version of the MCU we've ever seen. Set 5 years after the outbreak from What If, this wasn't a new apocalypse. It was a collapsed world where survivors had been tested by half a decade of relentless horror. To rank every survivor, I used 5 criteria: survival duration, combat ability, strategic thinking, resourcefulness, and the luck factor. Let's rank every major survivor from worst to best. At number 22, we have Kate Bishop. She survived 5 years in New York with Kamala and Riri, which shows she was competent. But during a mission, her group wandered into the endless battle between Icarus and zombie Captain Marvel. Kate was completely vaporized by Captain Marvel's photon blast. Her final move was firing a confetti trick arrow, a whimsical weapon from a much safer world. This wasn't just bad luck, it was a fatal mistake. She underestimated a cosmic-level threat and used the wrong tool. After surviving 5 years, she was eliminated in minutes when it mattered most. Here's the final breakdown. Next, at number 21, I put John Walker. John Walker was working as a henchman for Zemo on the Raft, a fortified submarine. His survival strategy was to just align with whoever was in power. When zombie Namor and the Talakanil attacked, Walker showed his true colors. He immediately tried to flee in an escape pod, abandoning everyone else to die. His super soldier abilities meant nothing, and he was torn apart by Namor. Walker's death wasn't a failure in combat, it was a moral and strategic collapse. In a world that demands cooperation, pure selfishness is a death sentence. Here's the final breakdown. Next up, at number 20, we have Wenwu. With the 10 rings, Wenwu had almost limitless power. On the first day of the outbreak, he saved Shang-Chi's group from a zombie horde. But when Shang-Chi was bitten, Wenwu made a choice. He gave the 10 rings to his son, knowing they would contain the infection, and then allowed himself to be devoured. From a pure survival view, this was a terrible decision. Wenwu had the power to wipe out the horde and survive, but he put his son's life first. This highlights a key theme in the series. Heroic sacrifices will get you killed. Wenwu's death was noble, but nobility doesn't keep you alive. Here's the final breakdown. Next, I ranked Melina at number 19. Melina was brilliantly resourceful. She set up a secure base protected by an army of mind-controlled zombies. She turned the undead into a defensive wall, a genius strategy. But her downfall showed that magic trumps technology. When Wanda's army attacked, her chaos magic overrode Melina's control, turning her own defenses against her. Melina sacrificed herself to let Kamala's group escape with a vital transmitter and was impaled by zombie Okoye's spear. Her death wasn't a failure of skill, but it proves that even the best tech can't compete with magic in this apocalypse. Let's see the stats. Next, at number 18, I put Thor. The god of thunder should have been a top survivor. Instead, he became a warning about mental collapse. When the survivors reached New Asgard, they found him broken and unresponsive, drowning in depression after accidentally killing Rocket and Groot in a past battle. Thor only snapped out of it when Wanda betrayed them and started slaughtering Asgardians. He fought one last heroic battle to buy time for the others to escape, but was defeated and zombified off-screen. Thor had god-level power, but his will to live was gone. The series makes it clear, surviving physically means nothing if your mind breaks first. Here's the final breakdown. Next up, we have Baron Zemo at number 17. Zemo was a master strategist who turned the Raft prison into a thriving sanctuary. But his survival model was selfish. He charged for entry and exploited others. When zombie Namor attacked, Zemo planned to sacrifice the other heroes to save himself. The plan backfired, the raft was destroyed, and Zemo barely escaped to New Asgard. There, Wanda's magic made his intelligence useless, and he was ripped to pieces. Zemo's story shows that being cunning is not enough against overwhelming magical threats. Here's the final breakdown. Next, we have Jimmy Woo at number 16. Jimmy Woo survived for 5 years with Shang-Chi's group, adapting to a Mad Max-style world. He fought off zombies and Skrull bandits and even formed an unlikely friendship with Death Dealer. His survival ended at New Asgard. Wanda's illusion of a safe haven fooled everyone. When she poisoned the Asgardians and turned them into zombies, Jimmy was quickly overwhelmed and killed in the chaos. He had decent skills, but no defense against Wanda's powerful magic and deception. Here's the final breakdown. Now, we have Death Dealer at number 15. Death Dealer was a highly skilled martial artist who survived 5 years using a brutal, efficient fighting style. After escaping the raft, he made it to New Asgard, where he too was fooled by Wanda's illusion. When the new zombie army attacked, Death Dealer held his own at first but was ultimately overwhelmed by the magically enhanced Asgardian warriors. His martial arts were exceptional, but even elite hand-to-hand skills weren't enough against super zombies. Here's the final breakdown. Next, we have Yelena Belova at number 14. Yelena was a skilled spy who survived for 5 years with Melina's group. Her end came during the attack on the raft. As the heroes fled the collapsing structure, Yelena stayed behind in the control room to keep their escape path open. She was overwhelmed and killed by the Talakanil horde. This sacrifice allowed the rest of the group to escape. Unlike others who just died, Yelena chose the circumstances of her end to complete a mission. She traded her life for the group's success. Here's the final breakdown. Next, at number 13, we have Alexei, the Red Guardian. Alexei survived 5 years of brutality with Shang-Chi's group. He had impressive fighting skills and even killed a zombified Captain America. More importantly, Alexei was emotionally strong. Despite losing his family, he formed a fatherly bond with Kamala Khan. His end came at New Asgard when he fell for Wanda's trick and ate the poisoned food. His super soldier body only delayed the transformation before he was killed. Here's the final breakdown. Next, we have the Sorcerers at number 12. This trio of mystics, Rintrah, London Master, and Sarah Wolf, kept Kamar-Taj as a sanctuary and provided key information. Their strategy was defensive, using magic to create a safe haven. This worked for years, but it was too passive. When Wanda's army finally arrived at their doorstep, their protective magic was overwhelmed. The Sorcerers were keepers of knowledge, but knowledge without power is a losing hand in the final battle. You can hide, but eventually, the threat will find you. Here's the final breakdown. Next, at number 11, we have T'Challa. T'Challa's story is one of incredible resilience followed by the ultimate sacrifice. Before the series, he survived being kept as a living food source by Vision. In a flashback, we see the survivors face a zombified Thanos with a nearly complete Infinity Gauntlet. T'Challa immediately saw the universal threat. He tackled Thanos, plunging them both into Wakanda's vibranium core. The explosion vaporized them and, most importantly, destroyed the Infinity Stones, saving the entire universe. This wasn't a failure. It was a victory. Here's the final breakdown. Now we are in the top 10. At number 10, we have Valkyrie. As the leader of New Asgard, Valkyrie successfully created a safe haven for her people. But her judgment was fatally flawed when she allowed Wanda to stay as a guest. She was completely deceived. When Wanda's trick was revealed and the Asgardians turned into zombies, Valkyrie watched her kingdom fall. She escaped and fought in the final battle at Kamar-Taj but was ultimately killed. Her fighting skills were top tier, but they couldn't make up for that one terrible miscalculation. Here's the final breakdown. Now we have Katie Chen at number 9. Katie survived 5 years alongside Shang-Chi in their Mad Max-style group. She adapted to the brutal world and, most impressively, learned to wield some of the 10 rings, a regular human using powerful mystical artifacts. She made it all the way to the final battle at Kamar-Taj, where she was presumably turned into a zombie. Katie represents the ordinary person rising to extraordinary circumstances. She proved that survival isn't about the power you start with, but about learning to use what's available. Here's the final breakdown. Next up, we have Scott Lang at number 8. Scott Lang's survival is one of the most unique. As a veteran of the first zombie outbreak, he was just a living head in a jar. He was rescued and given Doctor Strange's cloak of levitation to move around. He adapted to this bizarre life, providing support to the sorcerers. He survived the full 5 years but died in the final battle when his protectors were defeated. Scott's survival is a testament to his incredible will and adaptability. He represents survival through teamwork. Here's the final breakdown. Next, we have Icarus at number 7. Icarus is less of a character and more of a permanent feature of this world. He's locked in an endless stalemate with zombie Captain Marvel. As a non-organic Eternal, he's immune to the zombie virus, which gives him perfect survival. However, he has zero strategy or resourcefulness. He isn't making choices, he's just a machine caught in a loop. His survival isn't due to skill or intellect, but simply because of what he is. He survives, but he isn't truly living. Here's the final breakdown. Next, we have Infinity Hulk at number 6. After T'Challa destroyed the Infinity Stones, a wave of cosmic energy threatened the planet. Bruce Banner absorbed the blast, transforming into the Infinity Hulk. In this state, the zombie apocalypse is irrelevant to him. His power is so immense that he destroys the zombified Thor in the final battle. He represents survival by becoming something more, so essential to reality that normal death is impossible. Like Icarus, he's more of a force of nature than a thinking survivor. Here's the final breakdown. Now we're in the top 5. At number 5, we have Blade Knight. Blade Knight is a hybrid of Blade, the vampire hunter, and Khonshu, the moon god, making him the new Moon Knight. He is arguably the most efficient zombie killer in the show, easily dispatching undead threats. His fusion of vampiric powers and supernatural durability makes him a perfect warrior for this world. He survives every challenge until the final battle, where he's vaporized by a blast from the zombified Thor. Blade Knight was the peak of combat survival, but even a perfect killing machine can't stop a cosmic-level threat. Here's the final breakdown. Next, we have Shang-Chi at number 4. Shang-Chi's survival is defined by one word: willpower. After being bitten on day 1, he used the 10 rings to constantly contain the infection in his arm for 5 years. No one else showed that level of control. He became a capable leader and mastered the rings in combat. He survived all the way to the final battle, where his death was especially horrific. He was killed by the reanimated body parts of his fallen friends, weaponized by Wanda's magic. He mastered the physical apocalypse, but he couldn't overcome Wanda's psychological warfare. Here's the final breakdown. At number 3, we have Peter Parker. Peter Parker, another original survivor, helped maintain Kamartaj as a final safe haven. He's shown to be experienced, capable, and still optimistic after 5 years of horror. Peter fought in the last stand against Wanda's army. His survival until the very end shows his high-level skill and experience. But ultimately, even Spider-Man wasn't enough against Wanda's reality-warping magic. Here's the final breakdown. Next, we have Kamala Khan at number 2. Kamala Khan is the story's main character, carrying humanity's last hope. She grows from a young hero into a powerhouse, even defeating the indestructible zombie Namor all by herself. Physically, she survives the series, but here's the tragedy. She's mentally and emotionally broken after losing all her friends. Wanda traps her in an illusion where the apocalypse never happened, a temptation she can't resist. So while she is alive, she lost the war for her mind. Physical survival is hollow if your spirit breaks. Kamala is alive, but she's also the final casualty. Here's the final breakdown. And at the top, we have Riri Williams. For most of the series, Riri was believed to be dead, but the finale revealed a stunning twist. Riri is alive. Just before her apparent death, she injected herself with an experimental antivirus she designed. While everyone else was fighting, Riri was working on a scientific solution to the virus itself. She cured herself of a fatal zombie bite through pure genius. At the end, while Kamala is trapped in an illusion, the real Riri is in the actual world, still fighting and trying to break Kamala free. Riri's survival is a complete victory. She survived physically, kept her mind intact, and beat the virus. She didn't just play by the apocalypse's rules, she rewrote them. Here's the final breakdown. So that's my ranking of every survivor in Marvel Zombies. Drop your rankings in the comments. Who's your number one survivor? Who did I rank too high or too low? And if you enjoyed this ranking, hit that like button. Thanks for watching.